Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United travelling to West Ham in the Premier League. Joining me for the preview is Finn, otherwise known as Academy Scoop. How are we doing, Finn?
I'm very well. This is actually the big one.
Why right? Every week, yeah, you're as bad as Joe or Ronnie or James Young, right? Because whenever I say, every week someone goes, do you know what? This is actually the big one.
No, but this time it actually is.
Yeah.
5 in a row.
5 in a row. 5 in a row. Can you believe it? We could actually win 5 successive games. I don't even know what to do with myself. Yes, United are on course to do that. Obviously, we've beaten City, we've beaten Arsenal, we've beaten Fulham, we've beaten Spurs, and now Allo is at West Ham. That will get us over the line. The last time Manchester United won 5 consecutive matches was in February 2024. Technically, 3 managers ago.
Was that the little Barcelona run? The Anthony goal and
I cede to your better knowledge than mine. I mean,
I
potentially.
believe it was. But yeah, it's been a little while, hasn't it?
It has been a while. I mean, what's that? 2 years, basically.
2 years.
It's absolutely embarrassing.
I think that's in all comps. I wonder when the last time it was in the Premier League.
Let's not do that, Finn. We might be going back to Fergie days or something. Probably. If we start doing that. I'm sure we're not, but let's not. Get involved in the chat, in the comments, if you want to tell us the last time Manchester United won 5 consecutive league games. Obviously, going into a game with the prospects of winning 5 in a row means you are in good form. Everything's sort of looking pretty amazing for Michael Carrick and Manchester United. We had it all our own way. I think you could see it in the Fulham game. We had to battle to get that last-minute winner. You saw the Arsenal game. There was points where we had to sort of dig deep to get the win, although we were good value for it. But what have you made so far of the job that Michael Carrick has done?
Well, I think it's a good point that we're not necessarily winning all the games in a completely glamorous way. I do think we are playing good football in the majority of these games, and we've been well deserving of all 4 wins so far on this little run. But one thing that we've struggled to do for so long is win games when we're not playing perfectly and when things don't necessarily go our way for a whole 90 minutes. We haven't had that kind of grit and reserve to be able to get over the line and get the 3 points in those slightly cagier, more kind of difficult games where it is slightly more of an even contest. And the reality of the Premier League is every single game pretty much is going to be like that. It's very rare that even, Arsenal or City or whoever's leading the race for the title these days is winning every game playing glamorous, perfect football. It doesn't really happen. So I think it's so good that we've been able to kind of find that new gear. Don't want to go too much back to Amorim, but with Amorim it felt like all of the conditions had to be perfect in a game for us to actually get the win and get the 3 points. Rarely it felt like luck went our way, but I think we're creating our own luck with the way that we're playing now, especially defensively. I think we've seen a shift to far more kind of compact defending in the middle. I think a lot of that's probably down to Steve Holland, and yeah, we've just it's been a breath of fresh air, to be honest. I've enjoyed these past 4 games so much, and now I find myself so excited for the next one. So I'm glad it's coming around on Tuesday and we don't have to wait a whole week to see if it's going to be 5 in a row, but it's been such an upturn. It
has been a massive upturn. You mentioned there, defensively we look better in the middle of the park. I don't think that's any coincidence when you start playing your best players in their better positions. Bruno Fernandes, who we'll get to shortly, also starting Kobe Mainoo, which you've sat next to me on Academy Review on various podcasts. You've been calling for that since Ruben Amorim stopped playing him, and I think you've been proven right. Not that you needed to be proven right. I think anyone with half a brain knows that Kobe Mainoo is good enough to start for Manchester United. Yeah. I'll say that the previous manager sort of didn't believe that, did he? Certainly not, which was a bit of a weird one. I don't want to sort of keep going on about Ruben Amorim, but it was one aspect of his management I just didn't understand. Kobe's back in the team, playing well. Bruno's playing well, and like you said, it's not like all of a sudden we're amazing defensively, but 2 clean sheets out of 4, it was better than we were doing previously, isn't it? When you look at what Michael Carrick's achieved since he's come in. I touched on Bruno there. Bruno Fernandes, who has been moved from the deep line 6, double pivot, whatever you want to call it, back into his best position, his preferred role as a number 10. And he's absolutely smashing it there, isn't he? I think he's had his 200th goal involvement as a Manchester United player. He's getting all the plaudits. He's silenced again. It feels like there were some critics of Bruno Fernandes earlier in the season. He's always had a few who've gone, is he overrated? Does he do enough? Is he a captain? All the rest of it. But they'd sort of grown in sort of loudness, if you will, under Ruben Amorim. But Bruno Fernandes at the minute, he's playing, I think, as well as anyone in the league.
Yeah, I have no argument against that. I would say he's currently probably one of the best players in the world. There's not many names there that I'd put ahead of him.
No.
And he is built to be a number 10. That's what Bruno Fernandes is. I think the reason he made it work deeper in the midfield is just because he's an absolutely fantastic player, and he could probably make it work, in any position on the pitch, maybe bar goalkeeper. He might even do a job there. So I think it's no surprise that he looked decent there, but going back into his natural number 10 position, it's where he hit the ground running initially under Ollie when he joined the club, and it's where he's got his best output and his biggest influence on the side. I think in terms of critics of Bruno Fernandes, often when the team's not doing well, regardless of who's playing well and who's not, it's the most influential player in the team or the most important player in the team who's going to get either the plaudits or the kind of negative criticism. And I think that's just what's happened with Bruno. When he does get criticism and when he is under fire, I think that's just a result of the wider team not doing well. But Bruno always gives his best. In terms of quality, he's just incredible. He's definitely, for me, the best player post Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, and he's weaseling his way into legend conversations at the club, for me, regardless of silverware. So yeah, I hope he continues to go on this fantastic run of form that he's in. His output in recent games has been incredible, and that assist record is also on the horizon. I just think if he's not to retire with a big honour like a Premier League or a Champions League at Manchester United, I think that would be such a good legacy to leave, to have broken that record that's previously seemed cursed. So yeah, I think United are a better team with him in it, and he's a reason that I'm really, really confident going into this next game.
Yeah, you mentioned there about sort of legendary status. I know people balk at that idea because we've got so many bona fide legends at Manchester United who've won multiple titles, who've won European Cups, some have won multiple Champions Leagues. When we look at the likes of Ryan Giggs or Wes Brown or whoever, or Scholes. But I think that he's edging towards that conversation. If he's not already in it, I think he probably is in that conversation. I mean, I've seen debates going about does he make United's best 11, and we've had a little bit of a discussion on it on the channel. And the fact you can even have that conversation with a straight face, which I think you can, shows the levels he's at, and he's up there with the likes of Rooney, with the likes of Ronnie, with the likes of David Beckham. His numbers speak for themselves, and also I think you have to put into perspective with Bruno. All those players I've mentioned, Rooney, Ronnie, Beckham, Giggs, played alongside genuinely world-class players, under a world-class manager, under, in my opinion, the greatest manager that's ever lived, alongside some of the greatest players that have ever played football. Bruno Fernandes hasn't always done that. He's had a bit of a merry-go-round of managers. He's been shifted around in different positions. He's been a false 9. He's been a 10. He's even played out wide. He's been a 6. He's had to lead the team more often than not. And sometimes, not all the time, he's been surrounded by players who I don't think are good enough to play for Manchester United. And in some cases, he shouldn't have been playing for Manchester United. Not all the time, but he has had to deal with that. And he's done a fantastic job. And me and Steve were talking about this the other day, comparing him to Brian Robson. Not in terms of the style or even, is he as good as Brian Robson? Probably not. I think Brian Robson's arguably the best midfielder I've ever seen at the club. I think it probably just shades it over Roy Keane. But Robertson went through a period where the team was underperforming and he was carrying it. And then when the team got better, he had a role in that team where he helped us win back-to-back titles, but he wasn't the main man anymore. Yeah. And I'm hoping that could happen for Bruno Fernandes, that he's eventually part of a successful squad and he sticks around to see us win a Premier League and is part of that.
Well, it would be the absolute dream kind of fairy tale ending for him in his final few years at the club if we are able to win something really major, be it a Premier League or, we're going to be hopefully in the Champions League next season. I think it's possible. So I think it's important that he stays on beyond this summer. I think we have to make sure that he's still in the squad come the summer. He's clearly got far too much to offer still, despite him getting on a little bit in age. I think it's really important that he's playing in that number 10 role and that we recruit in the midfield around him rather than trying to replace him this early on. And yeah, it is possible that he has that kind of similar role to Brian Robson where he becomes an important part of a team that's actually doing well for the first time in his kind of United career, because like he said, up to this point he's almost been surrounded by, to put it bluntly, mediocrity. It's been a bit. There's a lot of average players that he's had to play with, and he's always kept his head up. He's always, done his best for the badge and put his all in. So I think it would be a really fantastic way for him to cap off his United career, and I just hope we can. And you know what? As the season goes on, there are more and more talks about a title race. And I don't think. If we're being completely realistic, I don't think we're going to win the title this season.
That's the sort of pessimistic attitude that's got us nowhere over the last 13 years, Finn.
When you think about how much of this season was basically wasted under Ruben Amorim, the fact that we've salvaged it in such a small amount of time gives me so much hope that next season we can be really serious contenders. I think it's become clear in the last few weeks that we really do have some incredibly good footballers, and I think if we get the summer right, we can absolutely be in and amongst it. So fingers crossed Bruno can end his career with something big at United.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one next season because I expect us to have European football and hopefully Champions League football. I wonder how we'll cope with that, with trying to do something in the league and trying to manage Champions League football and hopefully going further than just the first round or the first game in the domestic cup competitions. But I definitely think there's a scope for Manchester United in the next few years to put a proper title challenge. And Bruno Fernandes, who is a ridiculously fit footballer, never injured, covers every blade of glass. Covers every blade of glass, even covers every blade of grass, to be a part of that. So I hope he is. Let's talk about predicted 11s. Before we get into that, though, I want you to get your phones out, film yourselves in landscape for 30 seconds and give us your score predictions and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com and we'll make you as part of the pre-match build-up for the watch-along alongside myself and Joseph and a few others as well. So send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Give us a wave, Finn. There you go.
Hello.
Right. This is the easiest predicted 11s I'm ever going to do.
Yep.
We've both got the same predicted 11 and it's the same 11 that started against Spurs.
It's a little bit boring, but I truly believe if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had a stinker. I thought it was a good team performance. I know it was against 10 men for most of the game, but you can only be what's in front of you. And I don't think anyone who came off the bench did enough where you went, well, he's got to start at the weekend. Against West Ham. I just feel keep it as the same. There's enough rest days there, or it was an early kickoff on Saturday. I know this is Tuesday, but it's not like the players are going to be knackered. I don't think there's any need to change it. I would stick with the winning team. That's what I expect. Get involved in the chat in the comments if you agree or you disagree. You think you might change it. You think you might throw in someone like a Benjamin Sesko or whoever. I just can't see it myself. Let's talk about West Ham then. They are 18th in the league. There's 3 points from safety. Goal difference as well comes into it. Not doing too well, but they are capable of getting wins. Like if you look at their sort of last 8 or 9 games, they've had I think they've won. Is it 4 of the last 5 in all competitions? Which that's not relegation form. I know one of them was a cup game, but they are capable of winning football matches. Which
no, definitely. I think
they can't ignore.
Outside of United, I think they've had an upturn like not many other teams in the Premier League in the last 5 or 6 games. Under Nuno, they're actually playing really well and have proven to be really hard to beat. They even took the Chelsea game right down to the line. They went 2-0 up, and then it took an Enzo Fernandez late winner to steal the points away from them. So I think it's another actual challenge for United. It's not like we say. There's no easy games in the Premier League, and I think it will be difficult. I'm looking at Somerville as their real kind of danger man. I think he's scored in 4 or 5 games in a row now and just looks so dangerous. Got a lot of skill, a lot of pace, can kind of do the lot on the wing. So I think he's someone that we've really got to keep an eye on. And yeah, I don't think it will be an easy task because when you look at their squad, they do actually have quite a few high quality players. Mateus Fernandes is another one that in this season has almost jumped ahead of the pack in terms of midfielders that top Premier League clubs are looking to sign. He's risen right to the top amongst the likes of Elliot Anderson, Carlos Baleba, as a real kind of premium midfield option. So they are going to be missing Todibo, I believe, because he's suspended. He got sent off against Chelsea, but they still have a lot of quality throughout that squad. Obviously, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a top right back for what he offers defensively. We know just how strong he is 1v1. He's always a player that I really liked at United, and I was a little bit upset that he left.
Yeah, I was as well. I think he stepped up when we needed him. Especially go back to that final against City, where he was doing a very good job, I thought. Jeremy Doku, it wasn't his fault that they scored.
Yeah.
And 1 or 2 other games as well. I think, again, at Wembley, the Carabao Cup final, when he came on at half-time.
Yeah.
The Brighton semi-final.
He tended to turn up in big games.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, he had his limitations. Everyone knew he wasn't the best on the ball, but he did improve on the ball. And I think I think there's always a place for a player like him in a top squad, but that's in the past. But yeah, I do think they have a strong squad, so it won't be too easy.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. They're beatable, but it's not easy. And I think that sort of league position doesn't tell the full story because they're in that position because of the start they had to the season, which went on for far too long. They've actually picked up a lot of points recently and are looking better. And as you mentioned, even the game that they've, like one of the recent losses against Chelsea, they were 2-0 up and playing quite well, and so it all fell apart. So you have to sort of respect them. With all that being said then, Give us your score prediction.
I'm going to go 3-1 United.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think they've got a goal in them.
Yeah.
You know, like I said before, the form that Somerville is in, you know, I think he can be really dangerous. Also, Jared Bowen's always going to be a threat. So I think they've got a goal in them, but I also think we just have so much quality. We're playing with such confidence, such cohesion as a team that we're going to get the job done. And I think we've got 3 goals in us.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to be a bit of a tight, cagey affair, this one. So I'm going to go 4-3. Wow. Get involved in the comments. Let us know whether you agree with myself or Finn, or you have your own opinion. Don't forget as well to send us your score predictions, 30 seconds in landscape, to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Go and check out Finn, Academy Scoop, on all your socials. He covers all the Academy news and much, much more. And he's on the channel on Academy Review as well. Don't forget to check out the merch. There's a link in the description. That's been Finn. I've been Jay. This has been a preview. Manchester United travelling to West Ham in the Premier League. Thanks for watching.